Well, hello, Joe.
Hello. Hello and welcome.
How are you?
I'm great this week. I'm sorry we didn't record last week. My special little dog called Rocco, we had to get him put down because he was old and not eating. And so sorry we didn't record last week. It was just because I was an emotional mess.
That's okay. You're allowed to be an emotional mess. Very sad times for you and the family.
Yes,
Condolences to you and the family. But how lucky was he to have the Plater family looking after him and
yes.
being there for him? How special.
Yes. He came to us in an unusual way. The man that owned him used to have breakfast at the cafe two doors down from Alchemy, and he every morning I'd go and get a coffee and say to Rocco, "Hi, little buddy," and pat him because I love dogs. And one day the owner, I don't know why, he walked across the road, and then he walked across the road from the cafe and unfortunately died of a heart attack.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and little Rocco was tied to the chair. And so my little kind nature was like, oh, look after him. So Rocco came home with us, and we were just waiting till Pete's family come to Bellingen to sort everything out. And then the lady was like, "Oh, you look like you really like him. You could have him if you like." So then Rocco went from living at the pub. Pete liked to go to the pub, so Rocco would hang out with all his old friends at the pub, to then being in a family with two other dogs and two children, and coming to work at a wellness center.
See?
So
Look at his life transformation.
yeah, so and if you ever got out of Alchemy, would know that we'd just walk up to the pub and he'd be sitting with all the old guys on the deck
Having a
outside.
chin wag. All his old mates telling him his new adventures in the healing space.
That's right. So he had a very beautiful 8 years with us. I'd feed him cooked chook, and so he's a beautiful little soul, and I was so blessed to have him for those 8 years.
Yeah,
So
and so
yeah,
was he. If, as you said, a rescue, you rescued him from what was uncertain and then, gave him love for another 8 years. How good was that? Bless you,
yes, it
Joe.
was beautiful. Yes.
God
So
bless
this
you.
week we're going to talk about our journeys of how we started our spiritual journeys to where we are now.
Yeah, because we've had a lot of requests. People have asked us. We touched on who we are at the very first episode. Now,
Yeah.
episode 6, people are saying to us, well, how did you actually start? How did you get that momentum going so that you took your journey, you took your steps? And it's been an interesting journey. Do you want me to go first, Joe, or do you want to go first?
Yeah, you can go first. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So it started for me probably, what are we now, 2025? 2007, 2008, where I got given a book by, this is the author, Paulo Coelho. Have you heard of him?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I
Yeah.
did. I actually read The Alchemist.
Well, that was the book that started it, Joe. And I don't have my copy here because I've got this great habit of lending books and they never come back. So I read The Alchemist and I actually had to sit with it and I just dissected it and just loved it because it gave me a really different way of looking at the world.
Yes.
And that was a really good story. So if you haven't read The Alchemist, guys, go and read it. It's a really good, it'll
Very
change your aspect, how you look at life. So then I was like a sponge and I had to read all of his books. This was The Fifth Mountain. This is like a lot of sayings of his, The Manual of the Warrior of Light. Okay. So I bought that. This one was amazing. This is called The Valkyries. And this is his journey through North America in the deserts,
Yes.
like 100 degrees, the heat, what he had to do, how there's a lot of heavy energy in the deserts as well. So the black magic
Yes.
had to come out so he could protect himself. So that was a good
Wow.
one. This is a classic, Joe. Have you ever wanted to walk the Camino?
Yes. Yes.
This is him walking the Camino. And at the end
Oh,
of each little chapter, he gives you a little spiritual exercise that you can undertake. And there's actually one in here, and he has a caution. He goes, this exercise you can only do once, and it's the exercise to see how you're going to pass in life.
yeah.
It's like the death exercise. And he's got it there. I've never done it. But for those of you that are traveling or want to do that, grab this book, have a read first because you can do these things. So he's got
Yep.
amazing books. This was a trilogy. I'm going to just highlight this. This was the seventh day. And this book has three different really good stories. One of them here is By the River Pedro. I sat down and went, I don't cry when I read books. Oh my
Yep.
goodness gracious me. This one made me cry. But the
Yep.
second one, they actually turned into a film. Veronica Decides to Die. This is
Ah.
about a psychiatric ward, and this woman who had given up the will to live. And to cut a
Right.
long story short, she saw a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist goes, I'm not going to take away your life, but I'm going to tell you your life is coming to an end. And when he told her
Oh,
life was coming to an end, she decided she wanted to live again. So he lied to her so
yeah.
she could find a zest for life.
Oh, I love it.
Very good book. And the film was just as good with Sarah Michelle Gellar. It was really, really good. So that's how I started, Joe. I got The Alchemist. So I read the book, and it really, my vision of life went from here, and it expanded the horizons. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So then it was showing me what is actually possible out there, what is real out there. And I don't know what it's like when you were finding your spiritual path, but there's not a lot of people that you can discuss things with on a spiritual journey, because it's like they're going to think I'm weird. They're going to think I'm crazy. And a lot of people keep this spiritual stuff close. They don't talk about it to people.
Yeah.
So I did this, and then all of a sudden I thought, all right, well, this is making me think now. What happens when you do die? What happens when your body's expired and do you just lie in a box, or does your soul leave your body and it goes on another journey? What is it?
Yes.
So I found a little class. I was on Facebook one day and I was having a mental health day from work, and I'm scrolling through Facebook, and there was this little thing come up and talk about the universe telling you what you need to do. So this little thing came up and it's like, do you want to learn about spirituality and metaphysical world and all this sort of stuff? I've got a 7-week class for you, 2 hours a week. And I kept reading, and the fourth thing that it said was past life healings. It's like, that's me. That was the flame just went, let's go. So I
Yeah.
called this woman and I said to her, I don't have a spiritual bone in my body, but I'm willing to do this class. I've got no experience whatsoever. And she goes, okay, you can come. I'm
Yeah.
happy to teach you. She goes, all you're going to need to do is buy a pendulum. And I thought to myself, what is a pendulum? But I'm going to go and find it anyway.
Yeah.
So I found this little pendulum. And the funniest thing was, Joe, it wasn't even crystal. It was opalite, which is a man-made crystal. But that made
Yeah.
my heart sing, because the opalite was all the different colors in the one crystal. So I bought
Yeah.
this pendulum. Off I chuffed to the first class, and I took my partner of the time. We went together, and because he wanted to do it too. And it was a case of, so we went and we're practicing, and they're doing a meditation. I was like, oh, this is good. I'm going to learn. And there's only 4 of us in the class. And she says, Charles, what are you seeing? It's like, hold on a minute, not much. It's just black. Am I supposed to see black, or am I supposed to see stuff? And she's going, you're supposed to see stuff. So then I should keep going. And, person 1, what are you seeing? Well, I'm seeing the stars. There's planet Saturn. I'm flying through the cosmos. What's the next person doing? Oh, I'm walking up a mountain path. I can see all the elementals like the leprechauns, the fairies. Person 3, what are you? Oh, I'm in a swimming pool with all the dolphins. And Charles, what are you seeing? My eyelids. I'm still seeing nothing. And it was so funny, Joe. It was so funny. But me, persevere. And one of the girls said to me, I think you're going to be the first person that ever fails this class. It's like, yes, that's an achievement. I can be the first person to fail. But lo and behold, I went home a bit, how do I fix this? How do I work this out? What do I have to do? And then the teacher said to me, you're in your head too much. Just stop thinking. Just stop thinking about it. Try and, calm your mind a little bit. So I went back next week and I thought, oh, great, here we go again. We're going to have to do that meditation stuff again. And it's like, I can't do it. But anyway, she said, we're trying something different this week. You're going to have to hold the person next to you's hands. And I thought, oh, God, I can't see anything. How am I going to go holding this person's hands and telling her what I'm seeing? Anyway, I held this girl's hands and I saw black and white stripes. And I said to her, I don't know, but I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing. There's black and white stripes here. And she goes, oh, okay. And then I said, I see a billiard table. I said, that's it. That's all I'm getting for you. Black and white stripes and a billiard. She goes, that's good. She said, I got asked to go out to a pub and they had billiards and we were playing billiards. I said, okay, great. And she goes, the black and white stripes are, I got invited to the Collingwood football match and they wear black and white. And I thought, yes, I got this stuff. I can do it. So I started and we did the 7 weeks and that was great. And it gave us so much and we built on our knowledge every week over 7 weeks. And at that point in time, I was also going to Spiritual Circle because I thought, I'm going to do this 7-week stuff, but I want to open my mind to do other things. So we used to go once a week to Spiritual Circle. And then after the 7 weeks finished, we asked her, is there an extension to this class? Can we extend it more so that we can do more? She goes, yes. She said, but if we extend it, there's going to be an exam at the end. And I'm going to bring in members of the general public so that you can practice on. It's like, oh, great. Okay. So, yeah, we all signed on. We all did it. And then come the last thing, she said, all right, this is your exam. I'm going to bring in the people because I'm going to tell you what they need. You just have to do the process, but be able to talk to them and tell them what you're doing and explain it to them. I said, okay. So we all did it. And she said to us all, oh my God, you're all amazing. Even you, Charles, you actually got it. You've come from not knowing anything to doing it. And she actually said to me, she said, can I recommend for you that the lady that wrote this course, which is Belinda Grace, who we both studied with, she's running a 5-day intensive retreat. And if you do it from 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at the night, you get lunch, you get dinner, but this is all you do. So I said, I said, okay, if you think it's worthwhile, I'll meet this Belinda Grace. And in those days, Joe, I don't know if you remember, we had to have a reading with her so that she could see if you were ready. Did you have to do that?
Yes. I think I had a reading with her, and then I didn't read that bit, so I just rang or emailed and went, oh, could I please book in to do your course? And then she said, oh, yeah. And it was probably because I already had a reading with her, but I didn't read that you have to do that. Yeah.
Possibly, because I had to have a reading with her, and it was like, oh my goodness gracious me, I've got to have a reading with her, and then she's going to say yes or no. So anyway, I had the reading. She goes, yeah, if you're interested, you're more than welcome to join. So I signed up and flew to Sydney. Then I had to get a little hairdryer, a little propeller plane. Had to overcome my fears to get on this hairdryer, to fly to Port Macquarie, and then drive for an hour to Old Bar. It was the best thing I ever did, Joe. It was absolutely the best thing I ever did because it was 5 days intensive. And this is me. I'm going to show you a picture. This is me. Oh, wrong picture. Remove that one. Go to that one. This is me getting my certificate from Belinda.
Yes.
And can I tell you, I have never been as happy as I was on that day. You can see it on my smile. And my eyes were tearing up. I was getting really emotional because it's like I'd always wanted to achieve something. I always wanted to study something, but nothing had ever come to me. Does that make sense? So I was 44 at this stage. I was 44. And it's like, yes, I finally achieved what I need to achieve. And here I am. So this was just the start. Once I had this little piece of paper in my hand, it's like, right, okay, let's go. And Belinda and I have been great because we formed a really good friendship over the years, and I can still bounce ideas off her. I did, after this class with Belinda, she offered a professional support program as well. So when I was doing healings and stuff, if you had any questions, you could actually, once a week or once a month, I can't remember what it was, and you'd have a call with Belinda, and I'd say to her, right, Belinda, I had these problems or what, and she'd go, no, she'll talk you through it. That was all good. You did what you needed to do, and rah. So I did that for a few months with Belinda. So that was really, really good. And then from there, what I decided to do was to expand my knowledge more, because I was going to this spiritual circle. I would expand my knowledge more. And I thought energy healings are great, but they're not, for me, it wasn't bringing people in the front door. And I was offering them for free to practice, and I did that for quite a long time. And then I thought, I've got to do something different. So I did a tarot class for a day. And it was the same teacher. So she knew my mental capability. She's going to say, all right, we might struggle a little bit at the start, Charles, but we're going to get you there. And I did it. And she said to me, you're going to be reading for a long time. If you can read like this now, beginner, you're going to be reading for a long time. So I took my cards home. I took her notes, and I studied them every night of the week for like a month so that I understood what every card was. And then in 2016, I applied to work in a healing center. And she said, the lady that ran it said to me, you're going to have to read for me and the other owner of the business. And I thought, oh my God, no pressure. So here I am. I've got my blazer on. I've walked into this healing space, way overdressed for a healing space, Joe. Shirt, blazer, pants, the whole thing. Got my tarot cards in hand, and they've gone, oh my God, you're delicious. And I said, well, okay, I'm here. What do you want me to do? She goes, come into this little room, and we're going to have a reading each. So I read for the first owner, half an hour. And she goes, oh, you were good, thanks. And then the other owner came in, and I read for her as well for another half an hour. I was like, no pressure. But it was just like, oh my God, I was sweating buckets. And it was so funny because it's like, okay, this is what we've got to do. This is what we've got to do. You've got to prove yourself. And then they said, what else can you do? I said, I do a lot of energy healing, and I'd learned Reiki at that stage as well. Not that that was my cup of tea, but I'd learned that because I thought you've got to learn the basics. You've got to go through the process. So I did that. And then they offered me a job 3 days a week doing tarot reads and clairvoyant healings, which is what Belinda Grace had taught us. It took a while for the client base to come, and that really tests your confidence, because sometimes I was going to the healing center at 9 o'clock in the morning and I'd have no clients booked for the day. But the universe was amazing. It matched my energies. It said, Charles, you're going without any clients booked in. I'm going to give you clients. And people would drive past and just drive and park the car. It's like, oh, something said to me, I've got to go to this place and have a reading today. And of course, the days that they'd come in, I was the only reader. So I'd get readings. And that's what the ladies that run the place said. Where you put your energy, if you put it there, it's going to come. So that's what I always did. I always, even if I had nothing booked, I'd be cleaning the shelves for them or rearranging the stock or putting more stock out. All of a sudden, somebody would come in for a healing. Give me 5 minutes to put the candles on. Let's go. And I built up quite a good following at that place. So that was really, really good. Then I got an opportunity to read. There's an institution in Melbourne called Spellbox. Have you ever heard of Spellbox, Jo?
No.
Okay, it's in the city of Melbourne. It's right across from the GPO. Okay, there's a little arcade called the Royal Arcade. Spellbox is your little witchy proof. It's a witchy poo shop. They got everything, all your crystals, your smudge, your incense, everything witchy. They got it. Spells, candles, all the sages, and all the different, myrrhs, frankincense. They got it all. Anyway, I got an opportunity to read there one day a week, and that lady that owned it, she goes, "You're going to have to sit an exam." It's like, I'm good to go. I've done that before. I can do it again.
Yes.
So I did. And I did it over the phone this time. And I very rarely have I read over the phone, but it's like, yeah, I can do that. I can do anything. Put your mind to it. We can do it. So I did it. And she goes, "When can you start?" It's like, yes, this is good. So that was one day a week, Thursday. And again, I'd go in and I'd have nobody booked in. And by the end of the day, I read for 13 people. Because people would just be guided to walk in. I used to go into these healing centers and I'd say to the universe, my beacon is on. So I used to work at the airport. So, on the top of the plane, they've got that orange flashing light. That's what I used to visualize for me. Charles, your beacon is on. These people are going to find you if they need you. Does that make sense? So not every day you're going to be busy, but days that they need you, you're going to find. So I did that. And then COVID came. So COVID put a halt on everything. But I was lucky enough to be able to practice from home distantly. So I was doing my tarot reads distantly, my clairvoyant healings distantly. In that time, before I did the COVID, I actually studied the hypnosis. So I was doing past life regression hypnosis, and I'd studied online once for level 1. And that was a story in itself, Jo, that the universe didn't want me to go down another path, so it didn't let me. When I tried to go down the path for the hypnosis, it said, yes, please, the door is open, let's go. And it made it so simple for me. So I did that. And then very quickly, I think I did that October 2016. I did 25 free sessions.
Yes,
because you had
to do that,
to.
don't you? Yeah.
You have to. Before you can study level 2, they want to see a commitment in you. So not only did I have to pay $1,000 for level 1 and then $1,500 for level 2, I had to give 25 free sessions. And people say, well, that's nothing. It's like, no, that's a lot of time. That's 6 or 7 hours per person.
Yeah.
And it's quite draining. It's quite taxing because you're having conversations with them, you're practicing the hypnosis with them, bringing in their higher self, and then you're debriefing with them. So it was a lot, but I rushed through that and did level 2. And so I built up a little toolbox of my spiritual journey. And as I was getting more confident with what I was doing, I was communicating that more. And I was talking to people about it more and more. And then we started the market stall as well during that time so that I could reach more of the spiritual community. Not that I did any readings or healings at the market, but I was trying to bring a spiritual aspect to the community at an affordable price point. So we did the market, and we were putting out there, like I had little flyers that, yes, we do tarot readings, we do clairvoyant healings. The lady who ran the circle, Lynn, she decided to go and live in Townsville. So she said to myself and my business partner at the time, would you like to take over the circle? It's like, yes, that would be great. So before COVID, we used to run Spiritual Circle, and we'd get 20 people in the front living room of the house. And we'd talk to them about spiritual aspects, spiritual, different things. And then from there, we took spiritual tours overseas. So we were building up a little bit of a following. So I'd taken 2 groups to India, a group of 12 for 10 nights, and then a group of 9 for 14 nights. And then just before the COVID thing, we took another group to Egypt. And that was 12 people for, I think it was 17 nights. And we were cruising the Nile. And we actually rented the Great Pyramid, Joe. You know how the 3 pyramids in Cairo, Giza? We rented the biggest one because you can. And I took the group of 12 in. We're in at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's a full moon outside. It's 25 degrees. The humidity inside the pyramids is stinking hot. And we're meditating. And there's a government official with us, so you don't do anything silly with the pyramids. And he goes, what are you going to do? It's like, we're just going to meditate and see what happens. So we're meditating and we're all doing the Om. And I thought, oh my God, the energy was intense, Joe. I thought, we're going to blow the roof off this place. So we did the Oms, and girls were crying and people were sitting in the corner. One girl smuggled in some oracle cards. So she's giving us all a bit of a reading because we had it for an hour. And then all of a sudden we all sat in a circle in the king's chamber. So right over in the corner was where the king was lying dead in his sarcophagus. And I started channeling this being through the pyramid. It was so amazing, Joe. And I was giving everybody a message. Even the dude that was from the government, he got a message as well. So we're all getting messages, and it's like, this is insane. Then this man
Yeah.
from the government sort of said, I don't know who you people are, but would you like to lie in the sarcophagus where the king was? It's like, yes. Don't tell me twice. So, a bit of a shuffle of some cash into his hand, and we all got to lie down. And then we all went out, and it was the most exhilarating experience. But this is
Yes.
because I followed my heart on my spiritual path, and that's what I have to do. If I follow my heart, I can't go wrong.
No, you
So
can't.
my heart took me on that journey, and my heart started to open more and more on this journey of spirituality, and that gave me the confidence to talk to people. So at Qantas, I was telling people what I was doing on that 7-week class, and then they'd say to me, could you practice on me? Could you practice on me? Could you tell me what my past life was? Could you tell me who my spirit guide is? Can you tell me what my chakras are looking like and what they're doing? It's like, yeah, sure. So I used to practice at work, and that gave me the confidence. When I understood that there are people there that have the same beliefs that I do, but we just don't express it in a conversational way every day. I thought, there's people that are doing what we're doing. I'm going to have to find more of these people. So, yeah, we took it on. We did the spiritual circle. And then the lady that left the circle to us, she goes, I'm leaving for Townsville. Would you like to run the tarot class as well? It's like, yes, thank you, universe. We'll take that on too. So we still run the tarot classes. I'm getting ready to run one in either June or July. And I've since then learned Palawa, which is a high energy healing technique, and the Egyptian healing technique called Sekem. So yeah, I've built over time a nice little repertoire of tools in my spiritual journey, and it makes my mind go from here to much bigger realities. And I look at people when they come in, it's like, why do you worry about this stuff? Why do you worry about silly little nuisance things when there's so much more happening in your life that you're not seeing?
Yes.
So, but it's also very really nice to have support. I met a mentor when I was 40, so this all happened. He could see what was happening to me, and I met him once at 40, and I thought, this man's crazy. He's an absolute Fruit Loop in a lovely way. And then we reconnected when I was 44. He said to me, Charles, you've changed so much in the 4 years you've had like a spiritual awakening. And that was through Paulo Coelho's books. That was through Dolores Cannon's books. It was through Michael Newton's books and all of the others, Brian Weiss. And I'd read so much because my mind was like a sponge. It had found where it wanted to go in the spiritual world. And it's like, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. I can't get it enough. I can't get it quick enough. And there are still things that I still want to study. I want to seriously look at, numerology is something that I really would like to do. Astrology is something I know absolutely nothing about, but there's an element that I feel like I need to look at astrology and, just understand the mechanics behind the astrology. I was looking this week, and there's a college in England. Have you heard of the Arthur Findlay College?
No.
Okay, it's like the Oxford University of Spiritual Studies. Okay,
I'm going to write it down.
huge.
Arthur Findlay. Okay.
Arthur Findlay College. Now,
Okay.
I went to their website the other night, and they actually also now run. It used to be like you'd go for a residence, you'd go for a week's class, and they would teach. And I've got a lot of beautiful friends that have been to the Arthur Findlay College in London. I've got 2 of them in particular that studied mediumship there. So they wanted to take their mediumship up to the next level. Arthur Findlay now do that online so that you can do like a 1-day class so that if you're unsure, you can practice. So this is where I'm looking at going next. It's like, okay, do I need to go and do a residency there? Or, do I just need to do some online classes to develop what mediumship stuff is coming out? Because the more we practice, the more the universe wants to give us. And that's what I found on my spiritual journey. I still do the stuff that we got trained in 2015 with Belinda Grace. It's exactly the same. And I do it exactly the same. I'll probably do it quicker now. But the universe knows, okay, you're following the protocols, you're following the procedures. I'm going to show you more over time. So it just keeps developing. I just keep adding layers and layers and layers. So my spiritual journey has been slow. I started it, as I said, 43, 44. But it's actually accelerated a very quick acceleration over the last 10 years, because I'm 54 this year, over the last 10 years, because I've got to catch up. And, the world's changing in such a way that we've got to be able to keep up with it. So this is, I'm going to show you a little picture of my little healing space. We don't need to see Belinda. That's my little healing space.
Yes,
So it's only a
beautiful.
very small room, Joe. It's only a very small room, but it's full of energy. I had one man come in one day for a tarot read. He goes, "What do you do in that little room there?" I said, "I do energy healing." And he walked in, Joe. There was so much energy in the room. He lost his eyesight. So I had to
Oh,
hold his
wow.
hand, take him out the front door, and go, and he had to sit on the grass because he was very sensitive to energy. He goes,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, there's a lot of energy in that room." He goes, "Can I go back in again and have another look?" I was like, "Well, I don't recommend it, because if this is what's going to happen, it's going to happen again." So I walked him back in and he had another look, and off he went again. He had to go and sit on the ground at the front just to ground himself. There's so much energy. This room is probably 3 by 2, if that. Okay, it's probably not, yeah, might be not even that, 2 by 2.5 by 2. I've
Yeah.
got
It's a
enough room for
beautiful.
the healing table. I'm very
Yeah.
lucky. I'm very lucky. And I see the green walls. I painted them before I was even spiritually aware. It's sage green, and the pictures are suede effect. So the wall's painted in a suede effect. That's why it's got that brushed look. And when I'm doing some healing, sometimes I do them in the dark. So I do them in daytime. It's not dark. But when I do them at nighttime, you can see the little candelabra at the end. I've got the 4 candles going. I've got the salt lamp going, but I'm doing them in the dark. And the pictures form on the walls, and the walls change. And it's like, wow, this is amazing. So it's really interesting what actually happens in this little space. And trust me, Joe, I can tell you some stories about demons in there and angels in there, walking with Jesus in there. It's been phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
been a really interesting journey. We just have to keep trusting what it is
Yes.
we do and how we
Absolutely.
do, so that we can make the best of it.
Yes. Yes.
That's how I got to where I am today. Trusting, investing in myself. And this is what people don't realize. People say to you, "Can you just give me a reading for free?" It's like, well, I've paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars helping myself to learn and be better. I can give you 1 or 2 sentences for free, but if you want to come and have a reading, come and invest in yourself. Come and pay for a reading, so that I'll take it even more seriously than just going, "You need to do this, this, and this."
Mm, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah,
Very much so. Yeah. I love
yeah.
your journey.
Thank you. Thank you. Look, I've been blessed that the universe brought me the right people. Does that make sense? And
Yes.
you've got to be, I think in this day and age, particularly over the last 10 years, you've really got to be discerning about where you are investing your money. Does that make
Mm,
sense? So I know people that have done some workshops and then they go and teach them without actually practicing the techniques for a few years.
yes.
And I struggle with that. So just if you're going to go and do classes, that's fine, but ask some questions. Ask them, how often do you practice this? How long have you had your certificate for? Show me. And that way you'll know that if you're going to book something, you can do it with confidence. And that's what I've done. I've actually asked a lot of people, I've researched them. Yep, they're legit. Let's go. Let's do it.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Yes.
Yeah. You really
Absolutely.
have to be, because there's a lot of people that will just take your money and give you
Mm,
nothing.
very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
So that's,
also sometimes checking
go on, Joe.
whether you can get insurance for the course that you're doing. Because
Yes,
sometimes
that's exactly right.
mm, I've had lots of
All of
people
that
come and
stuff.
go, "Oh, I've done this course," and then go, I don't think it was an accredited course that you could get insurance with. So,
Yep. Yeah,
mm.
yeah, yeah, I
So
agree. So
yeah.
that's my spiritual path, Joe. What does yours
Yes.
look like? How did you find your spiritual wings to fly as high as
Well,
you do?
I've always been a quirky kid, so I would always say really random things sometimes that just came out without me knowing, like really where that come from. Um, and I was always, when I was younger, I used to have an imaginary friend because I lived like in front of or behind the Blue Mountains. So we had a farm, the Nepean River, and then the Blue Mountains. So when I was little, I'd say I had an imaginary friend called Danielle, and I don't know why. I think that everyone in my family thought it was an imaginary little friend, human friend. But to me, it was Danielle was a unicorn. So she would, and I'd say, oh, she's
Wow,
gone over the Blue Mountains. But there was a bit of a miscommunication where I assumed everyone knew it was a unicorn, but no one else knew that.
they
So
didn't.
Danielle
Yep,
kind of stayed with me probably through teenage years. She probably left because, teenage years are a bit challenging.
yeah, yeah.
Then I had a bit of a hard time in the at 21, my dad passed away, and then
Mm-hmm.
at 23, one of my best friends, Karen, passed away. And I remember
Wow.
so it was thankfully I had met Elliot by then, so I had a really lovely, future husband to support me. But it was a good thing because I guess that clairaudience opened up, because I remember when Karen's funeral, she was like, and I didn't know this because her mum and dad sorted out, even though she was married, but her mum and dad sorted out the funeral. And as her coffin's going down into the ground, she goes, "Can you believe my mum put me in my fucking wedding dress?" And I was like, what? Like, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going mad. Anyway, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, in my head, she goes, "I'm not even wearing one on morning. I'm wearing a fucking wedding dress." Like, and I was like, oh, I don't think it matters. And I was a bit overwhelmed, and I was a bit, over emotional, thinking, oh my God, I'm going mad. Anyway, so throughout that day, when we went to the wake, Karen was like, saying things about people, and I was like, right. So I think I only lasted an hour, and I went, I'm going to go home. I'm not very good. But it was because I had that communication. So we proceed on. It was a hard time also because Karen died 6 months later. I'm getting married. So Karen was in my bridal party. So then I had to kind of keep it together. And then after that, I went to a meditation class because I thought, I'll go to a meditation class and see if it will help, connect. And it was a lovely lady called Annie. And then I did that. And then in that time, because I'd go to the toilet and I had a really great job, and I'd go, God, there has to be more than this in life than doing this 9 to 5 thing. So then my friend, so in that time also I was racing a race car with my brother.
Look at you go. I love that. Living life to the fullest, Jo.
Yeah, so then I met another lady, and her and she was a nutrimenetics consultant. So I thought, I could do this to pay for my race car. But the good thing about the nutrimenetics journey was that there was so much self-development associated with nutrimenetics. And one of the ladies there said, "Oh, I know this lady called Miranda. I think you should see her." So I went to see a lady called Miranda. And when I went there, she said, "Oh, Jo, I'm doing this spiritual course for a year. I think you should do it." So I was like, okay. So then I've gone along. I didn't even know what a chakra was. I had no idea. And I remember going to the first class going, oh, I'm way out of my league here because I don't know anything. All these ladies sort of knew a bit about stuff. And then the other thing that was funny about this course was that, you'd all sit around, you'd probably do 3 or 4 meditations through the day. And every time I meditated, this was me, I'd be like snoring.
I love it, Jo. I love it.
So I was the worst. Like, if you looked, you'd think, yeah, that girl's not going to make it. So anyway, and then thankfully Miranda was really encouraging. No, keep going. You'll be right. She said, do you fall asleep at home? I went, no, I stand up when I do the meditations, so I won't fall asleep. But I was really diligent. Like, she said to do 3 meditations of those. I would do those meditations. So then, I went off. I was sort of doing healings at home throughout my nutrimenetics career, but I wasn't doing it in an advertised way. Like, because I had a lovely home office at home, I could put a massage table in my room and do it that way. So I did that. And then, through that I had children, which was a blessing. And then, I kept my meditation faith and kept doing that all the time. I had done some other courses along the way, but they were very similar to Miranda's, but it was just to keep my vibration high. And then we moved, and I was still doing home, like I never advertised, but it was word of mouth, and I'd do 2 or 3 energy healings and readings at home. And then we moved to Coffs Harbour. So then I kind of got settled for 6 months, and then I started doing readings from home again. And it was going all right. It was just slow because I didn't know anyone, because I'd moved areas.
You got to build it up. You got to build it all up again.
And then one day Elliot said, oh, look, there's a business called Alchemy in Bellingen. You should go and have a look at it. And that was in October 2016. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll go and have a look. And I really liked the business. So I didn't like where the business was. It was loud and cold and
Okay.
but I liked the essence of the business. So I said to Elliot, oh, maybe. So then Elliot came and had a look. And then in January 2017, so three or 4 months later, we bought it. And then that's where I was like, right, well, I'll just do readings from here. So, and I thought if it didn't work out, I could just be the receptionist at the healing center or the wellness center. But it kind of, every week I'd go, or every month I'd go, okay, guides, if I could have 10 readings a month to start with, that would be great. And then it built up. And then when I got that many, and then obviously I built my confidence up as well. And then I'd say, okay, well, can I have 10 readings a week? And then that's how it built up. So, so that was my journey. In that time, when I had bought it throughout my life, I had done, this is Alchemy in Bellingen now. So this is the entranceway of our lovely little centre. So in that time I've done Charles's Peloa course, and then I had done like an NLP hypnotherapy class. And then I had done Reiki, and I've done a few different types of Reiki. And I do think that Reiki is a good thing as a part of your toolkit. Oh, yeah, that's me doing a massage and a reading there, or a healing. And that's my healing room, which is nice. So then so I've done lots of courses, but I always come back to that my faithful clairvoyant readings is my main thing that I love going to. Oh, yeah, that's putting crystals on people. I think that you might not, when you do a course, you might not think, oh, nah, but you might come away with 2 or 3 things that have broadened or expanded your thoughts or your abilities. For my best advice is, for me, that has made a big difference, is that I think along your journey, you do have to do a lot of meditating to clear your or silent time, or whatever you want to call it, to clear your negative emotions, because the more you let go of, then the higher your vibrations are, which means then you get a better connection with the angelic realms. So therefore, that's my biggest thing, is that I've always had a great meditation practice for me personally, because look, and it's not everyone, but when you're quite spiritual and empathic, you do I feel like, in my experience talking to many spiritual people, you do get a bit of baggage because you're sensitive. You sometimes, you must have been, I was very ambitious when I was in heaven and gone, oh, I'll just have these parents. And my parents did the best they could. I'm not saying that they were bad in any way, but, they could only parent as good as how they were parented, So, so I had a bit of baggage about issues. So I had to clear that, because for 2 reasons. To let go of so I could vibrate higher, but also then if I could then clear it, then I could teach others how to clear it. And that was really important for me. And then I also, in 2018, I think I did, that's how I met you, with the Belinda Grace's course. Because I thought, 5 days, I'd been had alchemy for a year, I think. And I thought, this is a great little holiday / learning. And that was the best week. I don't think I've ever laughed that hard, especially when we're all telling stories. Oh my gosh, that was so funny.
And remember, we had the silent morning. None of us, we all like to talk, and we had the silent morning, and we're all going,
what?
We can't talk. And we're all taking pens and papers around trying to talk to each other. And that was the funniest thing. It was but see, that's the other thing, Jo. Having joy in your life, it lifts your vibration.
Yes. So that's generally the sum up. And then I wanted to teach. So I did a clairvoyant course teaching in Sydney, and then that's my little reception area, because we are a wellness centre, or multidiscipline wellness centre, with naturopaths and osteos and chiros. We do sell lots of product. So that's our little reception area. Yeah. yeah, so that's and that's our delicious hallway. So Elliot and I bought
Lovely.
a old house and we renovated it. And there's 6 rooms in there. I've got the front room. So yeah, so
Mhm.
that's I love a little wellness center. So yeah, so that's how I started. But it's a whole lot of, for me, it's clearing out your own emotions so you can vibrate higher and live in love and joy. Um, and then it's also, when I was very selective with what I told people when I was starting. So,
Mhm.
you know, because they can shoot you down and you can lose your confidence,
Yes, very quickly.
especially, the ones that you love the most sometimes are the ones that are the meanest.
They're the
So,
most judging.
yes. So, my other advice is to, until you really know and hold your own, don't just keep it to yourself until you can really, you know, feel confident in your journey.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
I agree.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, and I think it's all about just, when things come up that bother you, especially when you want to be a healer or a helper of others, really go within and figure out, why does that trigger me, and then, because it's like when you can clear that, then you get more, like, it's like your guidance here opens up more. So
Yes.
um
Yes.
yeah, so, and I'm very blessed. For me, I think, because I'm a little bit more connected with the elementals, I've got unicorns, and then I've got a few little dragons that always are with me. um Even when I bought this house that we're in, when we were driving to have a look, so we're on a slopey block, so the house is sort of on the top of the slope of the house, but in at the back there's a whole lot of trees, and all
Mhm.
I could see when we drove on was this dragon sitting in the rainforest trees. And I go to Ellie, we'll buy this one, this is a great one. And Ellie's gone, haven't even looked in the house.
I'm being guided. There's a dragon in the trees, and he's saying, "This is it. So let's go. We're just gonna buy it."
So Ellie's gone,
Love
right,
that.
okay. So yeah, so I and they come to work with me and do lots of clearing of negative energy and things. So it's a
Mhm.
little bit out there, but I think for me, um, it works well. Lots of stuff is channeled through for people, and I wouldn't know it if, and because people will often go, "How do you know?" I went, "Not sure," but all I know is that when I
Mhm.
meditate in the morning, it comes through, and then I just deliver it to you. So it's really not me. I'm just thankful that I'm the person that they trust to pass on the messages.
Yeah, we're just the
I've
channel.
got,
We're just holding the space.
yeah, and like I work a lot with like the Marys, so Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene and Archangel Mary. Um, and then, Jesus does come in from time to time. I really love Lady Portia, who clears karma. She seems to come in a lot for me and help.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so there's a few that, but then there's like my spiritual team that always seem to be with me. There seems to be, about between 6 and 8 that always sit with me all the time. And I had to learn to be able to talk to the person, but also talk to who's, well, how it is. So you're like, oh
Yes.
yeah, but you're also listening at the same time with what they're
It's
saying.
hard, isn't it? It's so hard. And sometimes when you get something from the spirit world, I sometimes struggle to find the right word to
Yes,
say it to them. Does that make sense? Yeah.
yes. Well, sometimes it's also because we're seeing it in our mind's eye. You've got to
Yes.
then translate the vision that they're showing you into words to tell them. So sometimes I find, like, I do feel like I'm playing charades. My biggest thing is
Yes.
when someone's passed over early, like they're new to heaven, like they've just passed
Mhm.
over, and sometimes they're not very good at communicating. So I'm saying to the lady, and I go all funny because I'm like, okay, so they're showing me, and I said, it's like charades because I can't fully, they're not that good at communicating because they're a fresh, soul in heaven. So sometimes I find that it comes through, but it's a bit like charades.
Yeah, it
So,
is. And I find the same thing. When I have somebody, like I actually had a customer last night, and she goes, "Oh, my mother passed away about 8 weeks ago." And I could see her mother, but when somebody's crossed over and they've been gone 10, 20, 30 years, they're front and center. They want to come in. They've got an opportunity to talk, so they want to take it. When somebody's just freshly crossed over, they're on the periphery. They're like 1,000 kilometers away. I can see them like a speck of light. And it's like, I know you're there and you're watching me, but you just don't know how to come through and talk to me. Sometimes they'll just send me messages, and that's all I will give to the client. But when they've crossed for a while, it's much easier for them to, they've understood the process, and they're like, yes, let's go. I'm going to take this opportunity. Let's go. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, very. I often ask when people come through, tell me what you used to call them, because that way then it gives them instant validation. So,
It's very interesting.
So then now I love teaching. So I have formulated my own clairvoyant course. That's I do it once a month over 9 months, just so then the meditations are pretty full on to get people to move out of their, their emotional baggage. So I like to take it slow with them. So that's how I do it, but it's just my personal style of teaching that I like doing. And then, so that's how I kind of do it. And then, then my book that I've got that will be coming out soon, it will have QR codes. So there'll be lots of meditations in there for helping people to purge their junk, their emotional junk. So
that's so good. You're giving them the tools to help themselves. It's not just a book that says you're giving them the meditation. Yep, go and lie down or go and sit up straight and go and listen to it. You too can clear your stuff.
Yeah, because, we've all got names of clairvoyant or whatever we want to call ourselves. But really, at the end of the day, we've been asked to help people to help rise the vibration of the planet, and when you do a reading for someone or they come and do a course or whatever, then they're going away to tell their friends. So they're uplifted, and then they're going to help their friends become uplifted. And that's really what we are. We're vibrational lifters. I think that's,
It's true. You create a ripple, that little ripple. You create that little drop in the ocean, and we just never see how much of a tidal wave that might become. Very special.
Very. So, if anyone's interested, and the thing is that, like I said before, and I've said it in another thing, just do what you know until you know better. I would never be how I am now without the thousands of readings I've done prior. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And if I look back to when I first did it, I thought, holy moly, Joey, you're a bit ordinary, but I had to start somewhere. So if anyone's, I say to my students all the time, you've got to, if you're going to have a go, it's okay if you're not doing it the best, but you're going to give them something good anyway. And so
think of it like this too, Joe. The people we're attracting when we're starting our journey, the information might be a little bit more general than it is being more specific as we've progressed on our journey. But we're being matched by the universe with what we can offer them for what they need. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then when you look back, you think, wow, that was very basic. But then over time, because we've trusted more wants to come. And it wants to give you more detail or more experience or more tools or more power to help these people on their little way. It's very special.
And it's interesting because I think when I first started, I would get, just the average person, not the average person, but just, where now.
Blocks from down the street.
Yeah. Where now I get lots of GPs and psychologists and, and not that they have more vibration than others, but they have more emotional baggage because of their jobs.
Yes, they're stressed.
Yeah. So that you're so spot on with saying that they only give you who you can look after and cope with. So
that's what they do. At that point you're at, they give you what you can deal with. Does that make sense? And I don't know about you, Joe, but the universe does test us. Have you been tested by the universe with some of your clients?
Very. Yeah. And particularly if they don't like what you're saying. And I never deliver it. Maybe in the younger days I was a bit delivered it not as kindly as I could have. But, when they don't like what you're saying and then they'll say to you, so do you think, and then they'll say it another way, but it's the same question.
Yeah. Words of power. So I'm very mindful of how I relay my words. Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
what words I will use. So yeah,
Yes.
that's the biggest thing that I've learned on my spiritual journey is words have power, and be
Yeah.
very mindful of what words you want to use and how you use them.
Absolutely. And I think me too, I've definitely learnt that where I may have used it and then the person said the next time they saw me, "Oh, I can't stop thinking about it." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't mean it like that." But, that was what word I used on that day. So yeah, so definitely, and again, that's just unfortunately trial and error. It is, you never say it with the intention of hurting them, but sometimes you may have, in the earlier days, I may have delivered it not my best way, but
Yeah, but sometimes we have to be direct as well, Joe. You've got to just be
yeah,
direct because
yeah,
sometimes there's no dancing around the issue, and you've just got to go A, B, C. This is what it is. This is how you're going to have to deal with it. Get on with it. Whereas other times
yeah,
you can say, "Oh, take your time, speak to them lovely." Sometimes you're going to be bang.
yeah, yeah. And it's also to, my other thing that I had to learn very early on is trust. So for example, I remember I had a guy and lovely man, and I remember thinking, the dad he's talking about is not his dad. But, and I was like, probably really abruptly, "You sure that this is your dad? Were you adopted?" And he's like, "No, well, not that I know of." And then he had gone home and he said to his mum, "Mum, is that my dad?" And she's gone, "Oh, actually, no." Like, but if I doubted myself and never said it, then, you know, he's got another dad now. And it's, he wouldn't have known that if, so sometimes you say things and you're like, holy moly. But
Correct.
yeah,
Correct. But that's you
yeah,
trusting. And when you trust and you deliver the message, not knowing what doors it might open, the universe will also say, "I'm going to give you more now," because you're actually trusting everything we're giving you. I'm going to
yes,
just keep it flowing. Does that make sense? Whereas if you withhold sometimes, it stops the communication. Does that make sense? It's like you're not trusting what I'm telling you. I'm slowing it down.
yeah, yeah. And for other people in the that's thinking about it, there's so many other ways. Like one of my students is going to do, like she's going to do a meditation and then like do an email way of doing a reading. So
Yes.
so that's another way she thinks that that's how she wants to do it. So
Yes.
there's so many different ways that you can do your healing. I just think my life is so much more enriched by me learning about all of this stuff and having faith, and that really like the universe is supporting me in all ways. you know
Agreed.
um I know when we bought Alchemy, we had to buy the business, and you know um I think we mortgaged our house to buy. So, everyone was
That's
like,
big trust.
yeah. And I was like, no, worst case scenario, I'll just sell the business or sell our house. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, like, but I never not had faith. I remember once even, I don't know how it happened, but we were going to be short. We would have had to borrow money or break our savings to get the money. And I just said to the guys, and please, I just need $1,500 to come into Alchemy today, so we can make our rent and our mortgage repayment. I'd be really grateful in a perfect way if you could bring that in. And a lady came in and said, "Oh, I'd like to get a $1,500 voucher, thanks, because I'm going to just buy the voucher and use it for my next treatment, so that way then I won't spend it on anything else."
See?
And I was like,
Trust.
trust. So for me, it's always been about just, if I am doing the work, it's like the universe will then support me in what I'm doing.
Yes. Completely. You just got to
Mm,
surrender. You just have to surrender. This is what I'm
correct.
doing. The universe knows what I need, and it will bring it
Yes.
in for me as I need it.
Yeah. And in all areas, like, at the beginning of, at the end of last year, it worked out that our daughter Lexi wasn't in a basketball team, and she could have just played domestic combat coughs because she's in year 12. But we knew that she wouldn't continually improve or whatever. So we just surrendered to the universe and said, look, we'll just put it out there if Lexi can get into a team. All the teams have been selected for all the, like the NBL one, but we reached out to a coach and he was like, I'll take it. So, and it's been the most enriching thing for Lexi's basketball, but it was just having faith, that, and I talked to, and that's another thing that I always say to my children. Now my children have gone through a Christian education, so they have faith in in God, and they love reading their Bibles, and I love that my children have a faith so then they can choose where they want to go with it. But I always say to Lexi, Lexi, God never set you up to fail. He always puts you in the right place at the right time. And it's that positive vibration that I say to Lexi, and because I have faith in, we may call him the divine creator, or, I call him God, but it's the same thing. And I think that it's about having that faith, that it's all going to work out. And like you said before, when one door shuts, I just kind of go, well, I'll just sit for a minute and see where that goes. Because I know with my book, I tried with another publishing house and it just didn't feel that the fit wasn't great, if that makes sense. Or I had to change to be a part of that team. And I thought, no, and then I tried with the Kind Press, which I'm publishing with now, and it's such an easy fit. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's beautiful. So I just think it's also about the vibration and going.
And I agree. It shouldn't be hard work, Jo. It shouldn't be hard work. If it's going to flow, it's going to be easy. And I think you're on the money. I think with divine creator God, I call it the universe or whatever it is. It knows the timeline. Sometimes as human beings, we want to rush everything, and the universe knows our timeline. It knows what we need when we need it. So I say to people, stop forcing things, because if you're forcing it, it's not going to happen. I said, just allow it to unfold as it needs to unfold, and it will. So just believe that and trust that. And then that way you're letting go of expectations. And when you let go of your expectations, it flows like you did. Universe, I need $1,500 today. Please, if it's in your my high is good, please make that happen. Lady walks in, buys the voucher, $1,500. You can't make it up. Just allow it to flow as it needs to flow.
Yeah. Even Elliot and I we worked out that we were $30,000 short. Now, this is before COVID, so we had money set aside to put, because we're going to do it soon. We're just waiting on our DA to put float tanks and spas and saunas and things out the back. So I go to Elliot, I think we're $30,000 short on that. And Elliot's gone, oh, bugger. So I said to Elliot, let's hold hands out in the backyard of Alchemy, and we'll just ask the universe in a perfect way if $30,000 can come our way. And I always say in a perfect way, because you don't want to get it in a wrong way, like, through misfortune or whatever. So
yes, no, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
The highest vibe.
And Elliot is very open and thankfully goes along with it all and goes, okay, yeah, all right. So anyway, then a couple of weeks later, Elliot, prior to working at Alchemy with me, was a Woolworths store manager, and he got an email from them saying, we underpaid you. And it was actually that they gave Elliot $60,000, but in tax, you kind of only get $30,000 because of how it all works.
Yes.
So that's how we got the $30,000. So I often think, and I could tell you 10 other ones, but they're the two where I think when you just, and the other thing I think also that I teach and I talk about a lot is that you've got to run your goal through each chakra to see if that goal, because, each chakra has different, obviously, emotions, and probably one day we should talk about that. But it's you got to let it flow through your whole body, up your body. And if there's a dis-ease there, or it doesn't feel flowy, then you got to figure out why that is. And you know what I'm trying to say? So
what if there's a resistance in any of the chakras? You've got to work out, what is this resistance? What is this feeling that I don't deserve it, or I'm not worthy, or whatever? Work through that so that it can release, and then you keep climbing up and you can create it through.
And my books, I really like this book. I didn't really read much of it, but I did like, because I could.
Who's it by, Jo?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Who's the author?
Here we are, Barbara Ann
Brennan. Okay.
It's a very 90s book, but I just liked it because I really liked how I could understand. That's how I can see things. So I could understand. Like I could relate with, like when someone's healing, that's how it often looks for me. So
Okay. Yep.
um,
Yep.
I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. So yeah, so that one,
So
and
that's
then
the thing. That's
yeah,
exactly the thing. And that's, we're talking about how did we start our spiritual journey. So for our viewers, how do you start your spiritual journey? Walk into a bookshop. One of those books is going to sing to you. Find the book. Does that make sense?
yeah, and then
I've had
my old trusty,
that
you can
one.
heal
Yeah.
your life. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah. It's
but
very
I think
social,
it's
but that's, sorry,
yeah.
go on.
No. I was just to say, I think it's just finding your course that's for you, and then
Exactly.
and I think sometimes it's also building up. I say to my students all the time, please, go and find other courses that you like, as well, because I did 3 courses. They were all very similar-ish, but I did learn things from each of them, like, if that makes sense. So
Agree.
and then sorry, fourth with Melinda's, but and then I've met this lovely lady Jen, and she does Reiki. And whilst I'm not 100% sold on Reiki, and I don't use it often, but I really like her. Like, if that makes sense. So I often go, oh, I'll spend a week with you. I really want to do her drumming course, and not that I'm at all musical, but I thought, oh, that'll be fun. Like, so
Exactly. And
mm,
that's the thing. You might pick 1 or 2 things. Like you said before, Joe, you might pick 1 or 2 things out of each of these 5-day classes or a day class, whatever, and you make it your own.
yeah,
Like when I do Seikhem, it's like Reiki, and you're supposed to touch the body.
yeah,
And over time, I just do this Reiki of the Seikhem, which is Egyptian healing. But I don't do it how I was trained, because my intuition is, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're doing it this way. And I just work my
yes,
hands above the body.
yes,
And that's the thing. Go and take what you need from each of the classes, and, take what works for you, and you use that. You make that work
yeah.
for you.
And I do believe that, as time progresses here on Earth, that people will become more telepathic and more like, because our vibration on Earth as a whole, we're all vibrating higher. I also think
Yes.
we also are becoming a little bit more crystalline structured. I know that sounds funny to say, but our body's cellular levels are changing a lot.
They're evolving.
Yeah. So, and I
Mhm.
think, if you've got lots of little people, if I see them, especially they're labeled as autistic, but they're really very evolved souls that are just not fitting into the
Highly
system that,
tuned, highly
yeah,
tuned, highly tuned, and the system doesn't know how to categorize them because they're
no,
above everybody else. Does that make
yeah,
sense? And
yeah,
the system's trying to work out, how do I make these children fit in? But they're so aware and they're
yeah.
so open, and it's like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
It's very
We're
spiritual.
very blessed that the mums in Bello are alternative and hippie. So there's a lot and lot of kids being homeschooled. And I think if if I had a kid that wasn't fitting, I would have done that. Thankfully, both my kids fit well in the education system, but but I think you've got to go with that, because I think they are more evolved than you realize, those little people.
Correct. Correct. And we're just at a lower vibration in a way that we are ways of communicating with them are ineffectual sometimes. And
Yeah,
the way they're wired is different. Does that make sense to how we're wired? It's such an evolved state that they're much highly attuned than we are. They're more sensitive than we are. So
yeah,
it's very out there. This is the way it's all going though. So we have to build ourselves up to that. We have to get ourselves up to that level. And that's what you were saying before. Deal with your stuff so that you can make your vessel lighter, so that you can
yeah,
hold more light, hold more vibration. And there are ways that you can do that. Like, a part of my spiritual journey was also diet, what I
yeah,
ate, what I drank. I drink 99% of the day now. It's just water, nothing else. I don't
mhm,
do tea. I don't do coffee. It's water. So we're trying to make our vessel, this thing, as light as possible. And my diet is ketogenic because I don't have the carbohydrates and the sugar. Because
yeah,
when I'm ketogenic, my channel is so crystal clear, and it's just like, well, plug it in, let's go. Whereas
mm,
sometimes when I'm eating conventional food and sugars and carbohydrates, it's like I've got this interference, the snow
mm.
on the television. You know how we used to get the snow on the television in the 70s and 80s? That's what it's like. And it's just like,
Yeah,
once I worked out, okay, diet is an important part. This is how people will evolve on their spiritual paths. They'll start with reading books, and they might do classes,
yeah,
yoga,
yeah,
it's
perfect
Pilates.
breath.
This is all Correct. Breath work, drumming. These are all parts of people's spiritual journeys that they can find it in a different way. Not everybody
Yeah.
has to be a reader, the energy healer, or anything like
No.
that. You might just like reading the horoscopes in the Woman's Weekly, and that's your astrological, but that's you going, okay, I believe in something more. What's it going to tell me?
Yeah. And I think it's so important for everyone just to allow everyone's journey to be their journey. There's no right or
Yes.
wrong. It's just
Yes.
what works for them.
Yes.
I find I might see someone once, or I might see them 3 times and never see them again, or there might be a 10-year gap, or I've got a few people that I know with Miranda, when I did my course, I'd go away and practice, and then I'd come back, like 6 weeks later and go, I do want a healing, but I've got questions. So then I'd ask
Yes.
her the questions, and then
Yes.
I'd go away. And, so I think I kind of use Miranda more like a mentor for quite some time.
Yes. Yes.
And then, so you find people along the way that you think, oh, like they're amazing to help you. So I think it's there's no right or wrong, but I think as long as you're clearing and elevating, purging, your heart's full of love and joy, you can't go wrong.
You're on the right path. And I think what you've just said is the most amazing thing, mentor. So if you're going to book into a class, find out, if you're going to practice, find out what happens after the class, whether there's a
Yeah.
support system in place. Like Belinda Grace, I did a professional support program for 3 months so that after I did the healings, I could ask her questions. I remember doing a healing once and 2 past lives came up at the same time. It's like, and I had a meltdown. It's like, how do I deal with that? So I just picked one and just did. And she said, perfect. They're bringing 2 lifetimes up that are having the same experience. So all you have to do is pick one and the 2 will clear. Thank you, Belinda. My mentor, Mr. Modi, I can run things by him. Why are people the way they are? And he'll give me a different perception. So it's
Yeah.
very important that you find that if you're going to do a class, what is your mentorship like after the event? I know when I
Yeah.
run classes, John, you probably do the same. When I run a tarot class, I say to them, if you've got questions, send me a picture of your spread and what you think it is, and I'll decode it for how I see it. So then they can work out, yeah, we're on the same path. Or if I do a clairvoyant healing group, 7 weeks, I also set up a WhatsApp group, and I'm there to
Yes.
answer their questions if
Yes.
they've got questions. And after about 3 months, it stops because they're at a point that they don't feel like they need the questions anymore. They're getting
Yeah.
confident and they're understanding the process and they're just trusting the process. But
Yeah.
that's a really important part. If you're going to explore for yourself what the mentorship will be like after the training has finished and when you're going into practice. Very
Yeah.
important.
I also, like for my clairvoyant course, I also give some half price sessions for them. And then,
Yes.
as the gift, I give them an hour and a half for free. And it's more like a business mentoring session. So,
Yes.
because when you start, you do need to have insurance. And then, I'm not the best on social media, but I know more than they do. So I kind of, because I don't want them to set themselves up to fail. So I kind of go,
No, and that's the key. That's the intention, is you're teaching these amazing people they've got this thirst for the knowledge and their brains are like sponges, take it in. And then a lot of people will just set them free. It's like, good luck with that, see ya. But the intention that we're holding is,
yes,
we're going to hold your hand until you
yeah,
get to a point that you are comfortable. Like Belinda did for me. She held my
yeah,
hand for 3 months until I became comfortable. And then off I go. And then,
yeah,
I still have that with my mentor who's 87 this year. And I'll still message him. He's in New York. I'll still message him questions. What's this? How do I deal with this? What do you think about this? And he'll just give me his honest opinion. So, and that's the other thing, Joel, very quickly, I want to say to people, if people tell you something, also say to yourself, how does that work for me? So when you do a class, it's like we say, take the best of the class. So if you see something on YouTube, you read something, sit with yourself. How does that feel for me? Does that resonate with me, or is that beyond my belief system? So I'm not going to worry about it, because that's what you have to do. Does that make
yes,
sense? What's
very much so.
is it relevant? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, also, like I remember a couple of years ago, because Belinda's an amazing author of many books and oracle cards.
Yes.
So I remember having, catching up with her 3 times, like over Zoom, because she knows more than me because she's already an author. So
Yes.
I from time to time, I always will have a mentor of some sort to talk to them about.
And
you know, because, you know, it's also for us also, I think there's a lot of fear starting and every turn when you elevate higher, because you've got to realize that we've probably done this in many lifetimes, but we have probably been burned at the stake or killed or sacrificed or humiliated or because we were different.
correct. And your soul
So
remembers the trauma. So sometimes in this lifetime, there's a apprehensive feeling about, okay, I'm going to try this. How is it
yeah,
going to be received? Because in other lifetimes, it cost me my life. And that's why
yes,
people are very shy at the start to express this is my belief system. This is what I might do. And this is I can do energy healing. I can see unicorns or leprechauns because in other lifetimes it's killed them. Whereas in this lifetime, we're in a world that's more accepting. So you just take little steps and start to reveal and save spaces so that you feel like I can express. I found my tribe. Let's go.
yeah, yeah. So
Let's
yeah,
go.
so I think there's also that you want to look at, because I know even with Elliot was like, "Are you going to you know, what are you going to do with it?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to be killed." And Elliot's like, "Huh? You won't be killed?" I went, "Yeah, that doesn't sound right when I say it, does it?" So, you know,
Yeah.
but it was, and it's just flow steps. Like I remember when I first put it on, you know, Healings with Joe, I think I must have called it, or something like that. Anyway, and I was so scared to put it on social media, and then, you know, and then, you know, I got my own website, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, to do that, and then yeah, so I think at every level you've got to just, your comfort zone has to expand a little bit more and more and more.
Correct. Correct. And as you get more confidence with it, as you have more exposure and more experience to it, it starts to become the norm. And then the fear
Yes,
just drops away. And it's just like you just live and breathe it and you become
yeah,
it. Does that make sense? And then people say to you, why are you so happy? Why you've always got a smile on your face? Why do you look so young? Because I know who I am. I know what my beliefs are, and I'm in tune with that, and I'm in flow with that. That's what it
yeah,
is.
yeah. Oh, and that's the
Yeah.
other thing. You know, up until this year, I would have said, for me personally, nah, I don't need to worry about food. I can eat anything I want and it won't affect me. I've always had the thing about not drinking alcohol, because I think that does
Same.
definitely, for me,
Same.
very much would lower my vibration. But my body, and I was listening to some other mentors and they were like going, oh my gosh, I've become gluten intolerant and everything this year. And I was like, oh, you know, but my thing was my body was aching. And I remember thinking, this can't be just because I'm turning 50 this year. It has to be, you know, and then I did a poop test and not through my
I
GP,
love
through,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had candida really bad in my gut. And, you know, she goes, oh, the best way to fix that is, she gave me herbs and everything, but this lovely lady said, you need to not have sugar and carbs. And she goes, do you have a lot of sugar and carbs? I went, well, have been known to have chocolate for breakfast. Anyway, so I had to really like, oh, but I've been doing it now for 7 weeks and I feel so crystal clear in my thinking.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing
Yeah.
when you drop the carbs and the sugar,
Yeah.
and it's changing lives. It's really
And
special.
lots of my clients will go, bought you apple turnover, Joe. And I go, oh, I can't eat it today. I'm so sorry, but Elliot will eat it, because and it's like they stare at me going, what, you're not eating any sugar? I go, no, not eating any sugar today. Or I've been doing
Correct.
it for the last 5 weeks. So yeah, so it's a bit like,
Go
um,
you.
you
Go
know,
you. That takes guts and it's a commitment. Does that make sense? But when your body starts to feel the benefit, you can
yeah,
understand. And that's why I did keto, because I knew my body
yes,
needed to be lighter. And I actually did it with a
mm,
doctor, and he would give us such educational videos every night of the week for 12 weeks. So for 12 weeks, for 5 nights a week, we got videos to watch on what it was doing to your body and how it affects your body. So the wisdom that came is like, oh my goodness gracious me, I'm hurting myself by what I'm
mm,
eating. And I've got to change that. And when I got the wisdom, my body became lighter, the channel became clearer and even
yeah,
more succinct. It's like, wow, okay, this is what I need to do. And I just stuck with it. This became
yeah.
a lifestyle.
Well, prior to
Yeah.
that, I remember saying to Elliot, because would see 5 or 6 people a day. And I remember going, Elliot, I think I have to cut it back to 3. I feel so terrible. And
Yeah.
now, like the other day, I think I might have saw 6 or 7 people. And then I felt so much better. Like I was still crisp and, everything at my 4 o'clock appointment, where prior to that, I would have been a mess. I would have been able to do the reading, but inside I would have been aching and sore and So
good. Good.
Yeah.
Now, this has been good show. So we've shown you how we've started our spiritual journeys,
Yeah.
guys. So, find it for yourselves. And it could just be, as I said, go into a bookshop. Could be going to a market. I work at a hippie market. So go to a hippie market, whatever that might be like. So you can actually feel what the energy is. And people are very smart. People are energetic beings. Trust your gut. You walk into a room and sometimes you think, oh, you could cut the knife. You could cut the air with a knife. It's tense.
Yeah.
That's your chakras going, I don't feel safe here. I don't feel welcome here. Whereas if you go in somewhere and it's feeling like, yes, this is the place. I'm feeling happy here. This is my vibe. Yes, this is where you need to be. That's your chakras talking to you. Do the same when you're looking for teachers. Do the same when you're going for a market, looking for a tarot reader or an energy healer or whatever it might be. But understand this, your body is talking to you, your chakras are talking to you, and it's giving you the guidance. So you are in tune. Your spiritual path has already begun because you might have watched this video. So that says to me already, I'm looking for something. How do I find it? And then off we go.
And Lovely, do you have any clairvoyant courses coming up soon?
I've actually just posted on Instagram that I'm going to be publishing my dates in a week or so for June. It's going to be June, July, August, in those months. So I'm going to be running the 1-day tarot class, the 7 weeks You Are Clairvoyant, 2 hours a week, which is the one I nearly failed. Now I teach it. And then I'm going to run a weekend of tarot. So it's funny how the universe works, isn't it? I was going to fail it. Now I teach it. How good is that, And I think that's a really positive way, because I say to people when I teach them, because they get so frustrated, it's like, good, you were me. And I remember when I was in the classroom and I said to the teacher, I want to be you one day. I want to be like you one day so I can just do it and see it and feel it. And lo and behold, 10 years later, it happened. So I say to people, if I can do it, you can do it. It's that simple.
Yeah, perfect.
Got a lot.
Excellent.
All right, Jo. Well, thanks for a lovely evening. We look forward to another week. So we'll do some more next week. But thank you for your evening, Jo. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Viewers, don't forget to click the like button, click the subscribe button, and there's a little bell. And I said to people, click the bell to like it. No. The bell's to notify yourself when we put up the next video. So click the like, give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, and tell us, how have you started your spiritual journeys? What have you done thus far? Have you read any of the Paulo Coelho books? Have you read the Louise Hay book? What are you reading? And we might do that. We might do a little snippet every week what we're currently reading, so that people can see what we're doing as well, Jo. So that because you start your spiritual path, it doesn't stop. You continue. It's like a Pandora's box. Once you've opened it, you can't go back. So
I think
we'll show you
always learning. Yeah.
Correct,
Jo.
Correct.
And if there's any topics that you guys would like us to talk about, and we know about them, there's also that element, please pop it in the comment, because we can then bring that up as a topic.
Yeah.
Or answer your
We're going to do some. We've got some good stuff coming. We've got some crystal stuff coming. We might have some meditation stuff coming, how to protect your house, cleanse your house, all of that type of stuff. So it's all coming in the next few weeks. So stay tuned. We love you long time. Thanks for coming. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye for now, everyone.